take yourself out of that and say, what do I actually want my life to look like, and how do I build my business around it?
What do you think has changed in you that has, because obviously there's got to be a change to make, from 0 to 50,000 a month that quickly. And you were like, dude, like I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I either I need to make 30 to 50 grand a month or just be done with this and like not even do this anymore. Like this has got to be worth it.
Thank you for what you've done for me and how you like literally you've changed my life. And I don't say that like lightly.
How many weeks ago did you start?
We started in September, I believe.
Okay, so September, October, November.
It's been like 16 weeks.
Yeah. So almost 4 months. And just cracked a 50K a month. But I want to talk a little bit about how we got to know each other first. And then obviously I want to hear a little bit of your story, and then we can jump into like the crazy results and what you've been doing. Just the last like 4 weeks, you've done crazy growth. So at least the first time that I met you, I was running my agency and I was planning on doing things for you. I think I was going to our agency was going to like create your content and run your ads for you and all this stuff and help you build out like a funnel and like an offer. And I think, my agency was more for people that already had like a coaching business doing like 50K a month. And you were just trying to like get your stuff off the ground. I think you were just trying to build a personal brand. And so we didn't end up moving forward. Does that sound about right? Like when we first
that definitely was. I remember like hearing that like it was like 2,000 a month, and I like freaked out, and I was like, dude, there's no way. Like it's expensive. And I was like, but at the same time I was like, dude, your quality is so good that like it may make sense, but like honestly I did not have the money to do it.
You also didn't have a way to monetize that back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like at the time, you do now, obviously, but like at the time, you wouldn't have had a way to monetize that back. But anyway, so we kind of re-met again once I transitioned from done for you to done with you, and I started coaching people on everything I was doing instead of doing it for them. And that was, I guess, 16 weeks ago that we kind of like hopped on a sales call, and dude, you gave me every freaking objection in the book, bro. Like, I'm gonna have my editor drop in just a clip montage of all of Johnny's sales objections right here, because there was a lot of them. But the next day you texted me, all right, fuck it, I'm in. And then we got you in, and that was 16 weeks ago. But okay, I want to hear from your perspective. What were you going through at the time? Because like, I know maybe there was like financial hardship or something going on that was like, you were maybe not in a spot to invest in yourself, but.
Yeah. So, really starting out first, like, one, I want to like, thank you for what you've done for me and how you like, literally you've changed my life. And I don't say that like lightly. Like, I really feel like you've helped me you've changed my life genuinely. And so I want to commend you for that and thank you, because I don't say that to a lot of people, and I mean that very sincerely. And it's crazy because I never thought that we would. I didn't know that our paths would align again, to be honest. But I remember our first sales call we hopped on. It was a lot, but it didn't make sense. I wanted to build a personal brand, but I couldn't monetize it back. I wasn't selling anything. I was just like creating content because I knew short form was good, and I knew building an audience later down the line would be great, but I didn't have an actual like course or way to do it, so it didn't make sense. Now I kind of like
really quick. I forgot to explain like what you did at the time that you wanted to build content around, which was you were running an insurance agency, and your first thought was maybe I can recruit more people to kind of like sell under you. You earn commissions off of them. They get commissions. Yeah. It's a win-win. That was your first thought, right?
Yep. Yeah. And then
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really the first thought of like doing that is like, okay, how do I recruit more agents to come work with me? Which is definitely a good model for sure. But I just saw that, like, I tried that, right? Like I recruited a lot of people, and it's just, the failure rate's huge, right? Because there's not a huge barrier to entry to actually like help somebody and change somebody's life. So I was like, dude, you know what? I'm going to keep doing my thing. I'm going to keep selling life insurance. And I kept doing that and stayed the course, recruited people along the way, kept building content though. Like that's one thing that since I knew that there was a power of content to be able to actually create it. But what's crazy is when you came across my video, like my YouTube, it was actually in March because it was right before you launched the community, right before then. And I remember you saying, I made a $1 million decision. I grew my agency to 60,000 a month. I was like, dude, there's no way, bro. Yeah. And I was like, what the heck? This guy like actually did something. Like a lot of people say they're going to do something and like he actually did it. So, and then you talked about how you're planning on making $1 million in the next 12 months. And I was like, bro, if this is real, we have to talk again. There's no, I remember we talked before and like you were just kind of this kid that was making really solid content. And so I was like, there's no way. So I just kept watching, dude. I kept watching the videos, like just like checking and see. And I was like, bro, what you were saying was resonating so much because instead of me growing a short form content agency, I was growing a life insurance agency and I was getting burnt out, dude. And he was like, bro, where's the profit? Where am I? Like, I'm not making money. Like, what's going on here? So I really started resonating a lot. And I was like, maybe I do this. And throughout the whole time, like the past year, I've been creating YouTube videos, like 3 to 4 a week consistently. But when you talked about the social funnel and really broke that down, it made sense because that's something that I realized the best is like the best people that I would speak to was from YouTube. That watched all my videos. Like it would be the best thing when somebody would reach out and be like, dude, I watched for the past 6 months. I've literally watched every video. I know that you were a Starbucks barista, that you got married, that you went in debt. You started generating your own leads. You started making money. Dude, I want to work with you. And I was like, dude, how do I get more people to watch that stuff? And then I've heard about the social funnel and I'm like, bro, this guy understands the game of if you get people to watch content, like, that's something that I thought maybe I was the only one, or like Ryan Pineda, I went to some of his events too. But I was like, there's got to be a way to be able to put fuel on this fire. Well, the social funnel comes in and I was like, dude, you're my age. We're both married, younger, right? And I was like, dude, this makes sense. So we get on the call. And at that point, I was just trying to figure out like, dude, if I go all in on coaching, am I going to be able to make $30,000 a month like I'm doing right now? And that's really what I was trying to debate. Like, I was like, dude, can I actually do it? Right? Like I had so much lack of belief in myself that like, I don't know, like feeling the, what is it called? Not the, feeling like, not like a fraud, but what's that word? It's
like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. But you helped break that belief on the call. And you're like, dude, do you know how to make $20,000 a month? I said, yes. He's like, then you're qualified. And you're actually more qualified probably than somebody who's making $1 million a month doing the exact same thing because they're out of the field. You actually know how to do it right now. So it made me think, and I was like, dude, maybe I am. And I just had to get over some beliefs in myself that you helped me crack on our sales call. And that really helped me a ton to be able to actually be able to move forward and like make the decision, because at the end of the day, what made me decide to work with you personally, because on the call, dude, I was like, dude, I'm thinking about this other guy. He's at $350K a month right now in the life insurance space. But I chose you instead, and you weren't even at $100,000 a month at that point. Like you just cracked that, like I think a month into us working together. And I was like, but what life do I want to live? What kind of life do I want to live? And so I was like, that's what I made my decision on, is like, who would I rather be? If I had to choose one, and it wouldn't be, yeah, maybe I make $350,000 a month on 50% margins, but like I'm having to work a ton instead of like being able to build a personal brand and like really grow the business the way I actually want to around my life.
Dude, I love the story. That's awesome. I also love the decision-making process that you went through looking for a mentor, because that's exactly what I do when I'm looking for a mentor. And I don't really have one right now, but like the process of like, who do I want to become rather than what's the end result that I want? Yeah. You can get the end result in a whole bunch of different ways, right? And like I've bought programs before that promise the same result as a different program, but the way that you get there looks completely different, right? Like I could show you how to make $100,000 a month, but you're going to work 100 hours a week. You're going to have no leverage. You're going to be on 1 million coaching calls, and that's not the way that we want to build the business. So, let's talk about like just the last really 4 weeks, honestly, because you got in the program, and I'll tell you from my perspective as like a coach, like at least what I've seen from you from from 16 weeks ago when you joined to the last 4 weeks was you hopped in, and I think you still didn't believe that it was possible. And I did my absolute best to be like, dude, this is so possible for you. You can this is going to be so simple. It's almost like so simple that you think it's not going to work. And so I think you just didn't take that much action in the very beginning. I think you're posting videos and stuff, but maybe just not spending the amount on ads that you should be because you didn't believe you would actually be able to sell. You didn't have confidence in your own program yet. But eventually you got to a point where you hit me up on Slack, and you were texting me a lot on Slack. And you were like, dude, I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I either I need to make 38 to 50 grand a month or just be done with this and not even do this anymore. This has got to be worth it. And then I told you, dude, then do it. You have all the information necessary being a part of this to make this happen. It's just about you doing it and spending the amount of money on ads and just investing in yourself and believing in yourself. And so that was about 5 weeks ago, I think. And then or maybe that was 3 weeks ago. And 4 weeks ago, you started a month, and 31 days later, which is today, you've had a $52,000 month. What is it?
Yeah, it's 54. We just cracked 54 in the past 31 days.
54,000 in cash collected with a brand new coaching business. The community is popping. You had 2 clients. One client sell 6K in a day. One client sell 2 or 3K in a day. How does it feel now? And I want to know what has changed, because there's a lot of people probably watching this that are in the same position that you were 5 weeks ago or 16 weeks ago, thinking about transitioning from an agency to consulting or coaching. What do you think has changed in you because obviously there's got to be a change to make, from 0 to 50,000 a month that quickly.
Yeah, I think, dude, it's a lot, for sure. And I did text you a lot, and I would text you and I'd send you a voice memo scatterbrained. And there's a few really key things that I remember that I've really picked up from you. And I thought that us not being able to meet one-on-one together, consistently, was going to be a huge hindrance, which it hasn't. I've honestly it's broken my beliefs just how much value I've gotten from the program just with chat access. It's huge, dude. The biggest thing is when I was thinking about possibly pivoting my offer, you're like, dude, what problem are you trying to solve? You're trying to make more money, and what you're trying to do with this offer is you're trying to get client results. You switching niches will not solve that problem. What are you doing? And I was like, it was a huge thing because I do that a lot. And I think that was the first thing of okay, whenever I feel like I have a problem, the first question I'm going to ask, and it's literally ingrained in my head, every day I think about this, of that voice note that you sent, is what problem am I trying to solve? And what's the logical way to solve this problem? Because if I asked anybody, even my brothers, right, he's 12 years old, in the other room. And if I went to him and said, hey, if I'm solving this problem of not getting client results, should I pivot to another niche? He would even say no. So it's so simple that it's okay, what problem are we trying to solve? So first of all, how do I get client results? Because I was selling, but I didn't fully believe in the product, because I knew that I could do it, but I didn't know how. I really those first 3 months were me trying to figure out how do I actually get them results? Because I know I can do it, but how do I get them results? How do other people actually see the success that I had, where I went from $15,000 of debt to making $40,000 in a month profit?
Yeah.
How do I take somebody through that whole transformation? It took a lot of thinking, and it's not selling more people. It's really actually doing the deeper work, which is what did I do? What was my mindset? What was my thought process? What was every single step that I took to get there? How did I do that? And so I backtracked into that. So that's I was okay, what problem am I trying to solve? Perfect. Now I'm going to take massive action on solving this problem, on getting people results.
Yeah, I think so. Everybody and even people in the program, they make so many decisions based off of how they feel, right? They make decisions based off of Like, I feel like things aren't right. I feel like something's wrong. I feel like my whole business is blowing up. When in reality, there's one
Yeah.
problem, just one, that you need to solve. And for you at the time, it was that you didn't actually believe in the program, and like you didn't know how to get client results. And so you were trying to figure out, okay, since that's the problem, instead of solving that, I'm going to set that one aside and I'm going to go solve the problem of my niche, which had nothing to do with the problem, right? But
Yep.
but we're so in our business and close to our business that it's this close we can't even see what's happening. And so it takes someone from the outside to just be like,
Yeah.
it's this simple, right? But that's still a question
Yeah.
that I ask myself every single day, is like, what problem am I solving for? Because I'll be like, man, I don't know why we're not scaling. Let me go make some new ad creatives, when lead flow is not the problem. It's the fact that I'm not sending any emails or something, right? It's like lead nurture. So,
Yep.
and then the second thing you said.
So I want to keep going on this because so that's the first thing, is like, how do I get client results, and like, how do I solve that problem? The second thing is my pricing, because it's a little different offer in terms of like, you're trying to teach somebody who's never made money before and like a make money online to like, how do you coach that? And so I was like, dude, I need better clients. And that's one other thing you said, is like, dude, you only need to take A+ clients, 5-star clients. So I was like, what are the ideal clients that I've had that actually have had success so far? And what happened there is it was me charging it more up front, because the people who were not scared to invest up front are bought in. And another thing, like a tiny thing on that is that it's not a subscription that they're signing up for that they can cancel at any time. It's a program that they need to pay off. And a lot of times I would just sell them on like, hey, dude, it's $350 a week, right? And it's like, I saw a lot of churn, and it's like, no, dude, this is a program that you need to pay off. You need to pay this. So like, how much can you pay up front? And so that's what I've been doing every call, is like, hey, it's expensive. Here's the price, $8,000. And they usually they'll gasp. I went through a lot of Hormozi content. I went through a lot of your content as well. And us role playing on Zoom was super helpful as well. But from there, I was like, dude, this is what's going to happen. So I started charging upfront, and that's they got to pay upfront, and they can't pay $350 a week. It's upfront. So how much can you pay upfront? And we'll work out a payment plan. And that was another huge thing that helped me see success. So from there, we did our role play call on like the support call. A week later, I'm like taking these calls, and I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna like have extreme accountability with these people, and let's make a decision on this call. First time, so my program at this point was 5,600, and the first person I thought I could sell, I was like, it's $6,000. So I was like, yeah, it's $6,000, and she's like, okay, cool. Where do I pay? And so I got a 6K PIF, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. Right after that call, I got on another call. This guy had 10 grand, and he's like, dude, I've watched all your content. I want to like, let's do this. So he paid me 4 grand. So back to back, within an hour and a half, I made 10 grand. And I was like, what the heck, bro? This is insane. So then from there, I had another person pay 1,500 just for payments from before. So dude, that day I did 11.5K. That was the biggest day I've ever had. And so that was middle of December. From there, I was like, I'm dialed in on client results. And what's cool about this model is that it allows, it feels weird having so much time in a way that like, I just don't know what to do, because before in my business, I would always be 8 to 10 hours a day. It's always new client acquisition. But I also had to change my mindset of I need to reward myself. I need to change my identity from being the guy who sells a bunch to rewarding myself to getting client results. So I'm like, from now on, my goal every day, instead of making one sale a day, it's how do I get one testimonial a day? How do I get one success from each client every single day? And so it was a mindset shift there. And since then, dude, it's been so fulfilling. Like it's literally more fulfilling to do it, because it's made the business easier to be able to sell. When somebody has skepticism, I'm like, dude, all right, let's go in the community chat. Oh, dang, Gonzalo just hit 6K yesterday. Chase hit like 3K 2 days ago. Oh yeah, this is Max. He hit another sale. He's at 35 for the month. Oh, that's Steven. He just joined the program. He just made $1,200 and he's about to pay off the whole program. Like all these little things, it's easier, but it was changing how I reward myself from I'm getting new clients to like these clients, I'm going to pour my heart and soul into them to make sure that they're successful. Cause then client acquisition will always be the easy part after that. So that was another huge belief that I had to go through.
Has that been a big change for you? Because like I just talked to, I don't know, I've talked to a few clients recently who have broken through that client acquisition barrier where like Peter, for example, or Ridge, or Steven, a couple other guys that like, they're getting to the point where they're realizing that, wait a second, client acquisition actually isn't that hard. I can go make 10 grand in a day whenever I want, basically. Like if I just spend enough money on ads, I reach out to enough people, I book them in for a call. Like it's pretty simple. I can go make 10 grand in a day, but that's a big belief shift for a lot of people, is to go from like thinking that client acquisition is always going to be the thing in your business that you're going to struggle with, to actually realizing that it doesn't have to be hard. In fact, when you have a good offer and you have a good brand, like it actually is the easiest part. And the hard part is, how do I build a team that gets client success at scale? And then how do I build eventually a sales team and a team of setters? And then how do I become a leader? And how do I manage those people? Like that's what becomes hard, versus client acquisition is always going to be hard, which in reality, like, dude, I could go make as much money as I wanted. I would just have to have a team to be able to support all those people, right? Has that been a big belief shift for you?
Yeah, for sure. Because I was like, dude, realistically, right now I could sell this program out. Like I feel like I could go out and get 30 new clients for sure. But then the thing is, like, bad word of mouth is so powerful. Like I remember, like it's from Hormozy. It's just ingrained into me. Like, dude, you don't want bad word of mouth. And so like, yeah, like so here's an interesting shift I had too, because after I did that week I made 20 grand. So I was like, bro, what the heck? Literally, it's funny because a few days ago, before it was like a week before, I was on a date with my wife, and it was just after you did 43K cash in 1 week. And I went to her and I was like, if Grayson can do this, I know 1000% I can do this too. I'm literally right there. And I remember messaging you. I'm like, dude, I'm right there. I just got to figure it out. Like I'm literally right there. And all of a sudden hit 10K. And then after that, close another dude right after that for 6K. And then it ends up being a 20K week. And I'm like, I'm close to a 100K run rate right now. But it really is like, okay, now I could go out and use all this money, invest more into ads and scale this up. But like at some point you have to, the first initial clients are feedback for you as a coach, because you have to learn, I have to learn how to coach. I have to learn how to speak to people to get them results. I have to build out a whole thing, a curriculum for them to get from A to Z without me having to be one-on-one calls literally every single day. And so that's really what I've switched a lot of my focus to, is like, what are the consistent questions I'm getting? I took like 3 days. I built out a whole course, and I'm like, every question I get, I just build more course modules to that so that people could come in and they can get results right after watching the course, which has happened. Somebody watched the course and the next day he made a sale.
Can you speak to that really quick? Because I think a lot of people have this belief that if they join a program, quote unquote program, very popular term nowadays is program, that if I don't have like access to somebody one-on-one, which being a part of ours, you still do. You have access to a dedicated client success manager, right? Like yours is me, but for most people it's not. Most people have this belief that if I don't have like one-on-one support, then I'm not going to know what to do. I'm not going to get results. But for you, you're trying to do the same thing with your clients. Is like, how do I build a system that gets client results without me, right? Which honestly is better for your clients.
Yeah.
Like if there's a system that gets them a same result every single time that doesn't require the coach, and the coach is just a bonus, right? Then that's a better system than one-on-one, right? So for you, being a part of my program, what was that like? And then also for your own program?
It really came down to me picking clients that are not relying on me, because if they're relying on you, dude, like it's just a recipe for disaster. Like fire the client, because they're just not going to be successful. Like that's something they have to work on. And I honestly, like, when I heard that I wasn't getting one-on-one calls like every day, I was shocked. But then there's so much like I could tell there's a lot of forethought, right? There's a lot of forethought with every problem that I'm going to face, that there's all the videos out there to be able to do it. Not only is there a full long form, like long course, there's a 0 to 20K roadmap or 0 to 30K roadmap on exactly what I need to do and what level I'm going to face. And I think like it helped me take full accountability and responsibility and not rely on you and not put it on you on my success. But like I went out and did it. Like, yeah, you were there to help and you guided, but like there has to be full accountability with the client, that even though you're paying for this, you have to work. This is not a magical program. It's just not. You actually have to work and you have to solve the problems yourself. And it allows you to be an entrepreneur. The best people in the program are going to be like entrepreneurs that are going to solve problems and figure things out. They're going to have the guidance and they're going to have all the information they need to be successful. But dude, you couldn't have told me, and I probably wouldn't have been speaking with so much conviction if I didn't learn all those lessons myself. And the best clients that I have, I give them the course, I give them all the access to that. And they're asking me, I can tell they went through the course because they're asking questions based on the videos, and they're the ones that are seeing success. So, and also it's crazy to me, the amount of people that have paid me 6 to 8 grand and they don't take it serious, dude. They're just like, they no show the one-on-one calls. I'm like, dude, what the heck? So that's just kind of a side note, but like, if you actually like do the work, like the work that has to be done, you can't escape that. So it just comes down to like full accountability and responsibility, because all the information's there. You just have to go out and like do it essentially, and then get feedback and then ask questions when you have questions. Yeah.
Let's break down like what you're actually selling. Cause I bet you a lot of people are like, we know, but a lot of people are probably like, what the heck does this guy even do? So break down for me, like the offer, the price point, and then how are you acquiring clients? Obviously you're probably using like the social funnel, like what we talk about using Instagram and stuff, but like what's the offer? What's the price point? And who are you mostly selling to? Like what's the niche? And then, what's the funnel you're using to get clients?
Yeah. So I'm a life insurance agent. I help other life insurance agents scale past $20,000 a month profit, through the acquisition system. So, pretty much my avatar is me a year ago. So I was buying leads. You come into the industry, you buy a bunch of leads, you tell people like do that, and you're buying these leads that are $45, $50 a piece. And I went $15,000 in debt. And literally there's so many other people that I've asked that are at the top of the leaderboards in their companies that are going broke. And so when I started generating my own leads, my first month, I made $20K a month, like $20,000 profit a year ago. And so literally I just sell that transformation. I'm like, dude, I was $15,000 in debt. In my first month, I made $20,000 profit. That's how I can help through the acquisition system. So the funnel I'm using is the social funnel. So pretty much I acquire clients via that. I have an appointment setter that's in my DMs and just booking up appointments for me throughout the day. And I just focus a lot on creating content, to be honest, and like getting success in that way. But my offer is, that's my offer. Do you want me to go in depth on like how I do it, or?
No, I just wanted to hear like the niche, the outcome you provide, which, you know, people wanting to get into life insurance, they want to make $20,000 a month. It sounds like that's the offer. What do you feel like is worked in terms of client acquisition? Because again, most people think client acquisition is always going to be the hard part, right? So what do you think for you personally has worked in terms of you acquiring clients using the social funnel? We're talking about like, you know, running Instagram ads to build your following and then setting all of those people for appointments. Obviously, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on, but that's a very simplified version, is to basically take organic content, put it on steroids using paid ads. What do you think has worked specifically for you in terms of you acquiring clients? Because, you know, 16 weeks ago, you were still posting content, but you weren't getting any clients.
Yeah, it was, is really like dialing in, who am I actually speaking to? And when I dialed into like, I'm speaking to myself a year ago. like I'm speaking to every single pain point of that person a year ago. And so I just started creating content like what would have helped me a year ago. What are the exact things? So like I created a piece of content that like is a full like 35-minute video of me walking people step by step on how to generate their own leads in Facebook ads. And that's like huge, because when somebody comes to me on a call and are like, what's the information? I'm like, dude, the information's out there. It's on my YouTube channel. If you don't want to pay me, go check it out and then pay me later. So a lot of it's just like creating a bunch of content that would help myself a year ago. Like who I was, how can I help? And like what helped me, and showing undeniable proof that like I know what I'm doing. Not only me, like the first step was me, right? That was the first step is sharing my results, my success, my bank statements, all that stuff, showing that. But now it's like, I'm my number one testimonial, but now it's formed of like, not only does it work for me, it works for Chase, it works for Gonzalo, it works for Max, it works for so on and so forth. And the list goes down. And so now they're like, yeah.
How did you overcome the limiting belief of, because a lot of people are like, and even you in the beginning were like, why don't I just like get them the leads for them and do this for them and do all these things for them, which I think is like most agencies, that's how they work, right? Let me just do this all for them. How did you overcome that belief and instead go more into the coaching consulting route where you're not actually doing anything for people, therefore your business is actually scalable. You actually enjoy your business. You don't need a massive team. You have higher profit margins because you don't have so many team members to pay, but yet your clients are still getting the same results. How did you overcome that belief in order to actually start doing that?
It came down to like me just realizing like that's how I had success is I had to figure it out too. And that's like, I backtracked into like, how did I have success? And like, it was literally me watching it like YouTube videos and watching a course on like doing it myself, and then having somebody give me feedback on what I did. And then I would talk with somebody one-on-one and like, not in the nitty gritty. Like that's what you want to get away from, is like, you want to talk high level with these people. You want to talk, okay, you've done the work. You hit 10K this week. How do we scale to 40,000 a month? How do we build a team around this? Like those are things and problems that I really like talking through. Or like somebody asked me yesterday, like, Johnny, what would you do if you had to make $10,000 in the next 30 days selling life insurance? I'm like, dude, that's like literally so simple. And I gave him like a whole thing. And I was like, this is what I would do. And so he's like, how confident are you doing that? I was like, bro, I could do it. I would do that in a week, to be honest. But it was really coming down to, you have to get out of the nitty gritty. And what's cool is that you can make videos that will teach everything you need for them to do. You just have to, I remember you talking on a support call with us and you're like, there's step-by-step, but then there's another level of step by step, like 3 steps to make that one step. And that's what I really like try to do and like actually created. And I'm still really trying to work on that and dial that in. Like I'm literally 1 month really in full-time coaching in doing this. So I'm figuring out a lot of things, but that's one of the biggest things. Like there's step by step, and then there's step by step by step by step, and just make those videos and dumb it down to like a 3rd grader.
Yeah. Okay. So your first full-time month coaching, you make $50,000 in cash.
Yeah.
Which most people, you know, they've been coaching for a long time and they're not making $50,000 in cash. What do you feel like for you is next? I know that you said focusing on client results is a big thing, because once you sell that much that quickly, it's great. But now you have a lot of people that you are responsible for to help get results for. What do you feel like is next for you? Like, you know, we're doing this value creator protocol inside of the program, inside of the community. I don't know if you're going to be a part of it or not, but it's basically like a 16-week challenge. What do you feel like is like the next step-by-step like roadmap for you over the next 16 weeks?
Yeah, so it's building out the course a lot more in depth, like adding more to the actual like curriculum, to where I can kind of step more out of like the one-on-ones. Because here's what's crazy is like, I was talking to somebody that like I talk a lot about business with, and I was like, realistically, all these people who have had success, I don't think that their success has come from our one-on-one calls. Like, it's great. I'm able to build a really great connection with them. Like, literally yesterday, one of them was so excited, he referred a friend and she paid in full, literally right there. It was a 10-minute call. And she's like, dude, I'm sold. Where do I pay? And I was like, all right, cool. And that's one thing that's huge. But for me, it's pivoting to stepping out of the one-on-ones, and how do I like really scale this to 100 to 200,000 a month consistently, like on lock, and dialing in the client journey. Because when somebody pays, how do we make it to where it's choreographed to where they get reinforced right away? Boom, all of a sudden. So once they get that reinforcement, they're into the community, and they're able to consume everything they need to do to be able to get a quick win right away. How do I do that without me in there? That's kind of like the next step that I'm trying to, like, I'm going back and interviewing all these people and saying, let's talk through literally, once you paid me, what were you thinking? Like, it's me interrogating them in a way, like just really diving deep. Like, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What are the first 5 steps that you took from doing that? What are the best things that in this program that you feel like worked for you? Because the reality is, and this is a side note, the reality is some things that we think are going to get the most results are not those things. And so you have to go back to your clients and you have to have an open communication and dialogue. Hey, what's working, what's not? Because the likelihood of the one-on-ones actually being the thing that's transforming their business it's probably not that. It's probably something else. It's probably something you said in the course. It's probably something you said on the community call, whatever it is. So building that out. And I just want to get the client journey dialed in to where I can sell without having a one-on-one call with them, or have the initial one-on-one and then that's it. And then they're in the community and they get success. Like, that's really the next problem I'm trying to solve.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Because once you solve that problem, there's a lot of people actually in our program that are at that place, like Corzo, Ridge, and Peter. They're at places where their client acquisition became easy. They started making 30 to 50 grand a month pretty easily, and now they're at a point where, in order to get to the next level, they have to productize their offer to not require them for clients to succeed. And then eventually not require them for clients to even like come in the program, like their sales process, their appointment setting process, and the onboarding process. And then eventually client success, like everything, like hiring in client success managers and all that stuff, which is like the next big step, is really just like building up a team. Once you like have a productized offer, you can scale pretty far, right? You can scale really far. The hard part is like, how do we actually, first have an offer that works really, really well, which you've already got. Second, how do we crack clients? How do we crack client acquisition, make it easy, which that part's pretty simple. Now the next step is client success. How do we productize that and get client results at scale, which is equally as hard to figure out as everything else. But once you do, then you solve that constraint and you move to the next one, right? You solve the next problem in your business, but you can go from 50,000 to 100,000 a month pretty quick for solving that problem. So,
it's trying to figure out productizing the offer to where I can sell infinitely, because it's infinitely scalable at that point, because one-on-ones are not infinitely scalable. And honestly, like, it's not what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. Like, one-on-ones are great. Yeah. But it's one of those things that just, it doesn't make sense for me to do, because more people can have impact and actually like get results without me even being there. And I build it more at a high level.
What would you tell somebody who's watching this right now? Maybe they're running an agency. You ran an insurance agency. Maybe they're running pretty much any kind of agency. Doesn't matter. Marketing agency, insurance agency, whatever. Or they're just wanting to go into coaching, whatever, consulting. What would you tell them, being in their shoes not too long ago? Like, what would you tell that person who was in your shoes 5-10 weeks ago?
Well, really think big picture. Take yourself out of the day-to-day and think about, what do you want your life to look like? Do you want your life to look maybe you're making 30, 40,000 a month, like consistently, but are you working like every single waking hour to do that? And like, is your, are you constantly like anxious and stressed because you might lose it? And like, think about the life you actually want to live, because I knew like I for Thanksgiving, I left and I didn't work for a little bit. And I was like, what do I want for 2024? And I want freedom and I want a coach. And I literally, I don't care. Like I had a lot of people that I was thinking about in my head. And I'm like, dude, what if what they might think that I'm a sellout? They might think this, they might think that. I'm like, dude, what do I want? What do I want at the end of the day? And I want a coach. I want to be able to do like this. And so I 100% committed. I'm like, dude, I don't care about what anybody else says, because I'm actually changing people's lives doing this, and it's fun, and I make way more money doing it too. So I would backtrack and like take a step out. Like Grayson said, like sometimes you're so close to it that you can't even see your business. Take yourself out of that and say, what do I actually want my life to look like, and how do I build my business around it? And that really helped me make the decision like, dude, coaching is it. Coaching, like for me, is I feel like a stepping stone to be able to, because at this point, like I'm making a great money, but like, what if I took these people in and I just made residual on them for the rest of my life? I could do that too. Like there's a lot of options here, which is really cool. But I definitely think like this was the first step, like in the right direction, that I love coaching and I love helping people. And just think about that. Think about what you actually want your life to look like, and how do you structure your business around that to be able to get you to where you want to go.
I love it, bro. Well, dude, thanks for coming on. It was a very timely interview, because you literally, like, just in the last 4 weeks, if you were to pull up your Stripe, it says like 52 or 54,000 or whatever. So, dude, I'm so excited for you, not only right now, but also like what you're going to be doing moving forward. I'm excited to see like you hit 100,000 a month, hopefully in the next like 16 to 24 weeks. So, dude,
we're doing it, bro.
I think
we're doing it,
a
dude.
lot of people are going to see this and be inspired by it. So I'm excited to put it out. But I appreciate you coming on, bro.